Hey, what's up everyone? I'm here today with WOOZ Dude, who's going to show you my top 5 favorite spots on the famous WOOZ Island maze. But before we get started, I'd like to dive a little deeper into how this amazing island got its name. WOOZ Island Maze is actually loosely designed and named after a giant wooden maze that was built adjacent to my hometown. It was created by a Japanese company that ran a series of wildly successful wooden mazes in Japan. The general consensus from everyone that remembers this place was that it was boring and awful. But for me, I was at just the right age to think it was the absolute greatest thing. Maybe it was because the internet didn't exist yet, or maybe it truly was great and just misunderstood by the people around me because they lacked any sort of imagination. Clearly, it left an indelible mark in my childhood strong enough for me to want to recreate it here. So without further ado, here are my top 5 favorite spots on WOOZ Island Maze. Please stick around to the end of the top 5 because WOOZ Dude will be working on a very special brand new section of the maze. First off, we have the bulletin board. What I absolutely love about this board is just the sheer amount of people who have left such amazing, heartfelt messages, cute drawings, and other endearing thoughts. It's one of the moments in my streaming that cemented my desire to want to keep doing this type of stuff as long as possible. Next up, we have the first of many mazes on this island, the chessboard maze. This maze was one of the first sections built. It honestly looks so good and fits the overall vibe of what a giant maze should have, that I had little desire to change it beyond moving a few pieces around every so often. It's a great introduction to what you'll find on the island, and I couldn't be more happy about it. After that, we have the Fall Harvest Maze. This again is another section I can't bear to change. I just love the color of the space and the usage of items to create a mildly difficult portion of the maze. I find people often get stuck in this area, and some actually give up entirely, which is too bad, because there are some great things ahead. This here is my favorite maze section on WOOZ Island Maze, and something I consider to be the most challenging portion of the entire maze. It's a lantern maze with 2 levels to navigate via ladders and hopping between columns. One of my most absolute favorite things to show off when people ask to see WOOZ during my streams. Lastly, we have a very seemingly inconsequential space on the island, the maze end and exit area. The reason I chose to feature this spot on this top 5 list is the ingenious way we've created a one-way path so visitors can't just cut to the end, and those that finish the maze can't return after they've left. Also, I have to give massive credit to my friend Satsu Mecha for coming up with the idea, because before that, I would often stand at the exit amongst a series of stone stools to control whether people could come and go. And that's it. That's my top 5 favorite spots on WOOZ Island Maze. I hope you enjoyed the brief tour of the island, the little bit of history of the actual WOOZ that existed in the distant past. If you want to stick around, I'm going to wrap up this video by building out a really cool new section of the maze using several Azumaya gazebos and some simple panels. Hey friends, I'm here with WOOZ Dude on Harv's Island to get all of these simple panels customized by Cyrus for the gazebo maze. And I just have to say that this project was definitely a little bit tedious. I can't decide what was more difficult, the time it took to acquire all the needed items, or just sitting through all the menus to get 24 simple panels, 12 short simple panels, and 1 gazebo customized. This does take a bit of time here, so I'm going to speed things up a bit, but also, thank God for Harv's ABD, because I'm not sure how I would have felt having to fly all the way back home just to get more bells. Now, I've already cleared out the area, and we do have our gazebos sitting over here. I was planning on having the center gazebo different from the others, but at the last minute decided to have them all the same. This area that we're building on has been perpetually quite difficult to make a maze out of, for its smaller size. I was somewhat torn on whether to build here with a much larger section that's to the right, but ultimately, I think I made a good decision. You can see right here, an issue that kept popping up was trying to place leaf items in such a confined space. This will happen a few more times throughout the build process. Here, I'm just checking the space between the stone wall and the gazebo, and I definitely want to move it over by a half block. Getting the placement just right is something I'm definitely wanting to focus on, to make sure I don't have to go back and redo anything. I can tell here that there's too much space in the back, and since simple panels are sometimes difficult to slide, I'm going to pick this one up while I set the gazebo in its proper place. And everything looks good. I've decided to change tactics here and place the gazebos first. By limiting the space between the 2 objects, the simple panels place much easier. I'm going to speed up time here a bit, as this part does get a little redundant. Just stopping here for a moment to show the beginnings of the second line of gazebos. Here you can see that I'm blocking off one of the possible paths with a half simple panel. The thing I like about this is that I can easily come through here and change it up without too much of a hassle, making the maze a little bit more varied each time you come and visit. I ran into a little bit of trouble here trying to place this line of short, simple panels. Now, I realized in the last clip, I called them half simple panels. But if you're looking for this item, it is definitely called short, simple panels in the game. You can see I'm struggling a little bit at the moment, mainly because I'm being stubborn and not wanting to temporarily remove that single stone wall piece that's in my way. We can sit here and just watch me struggle for a moment. Now, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it enjoyable, and if you have, please leave a like so I can know to make more in the future. Alright, so I'm just finishing up the last few rows here. All in all, I think that the build turned out pretty well. Part of me still wants to know what it would have looked like to build out a much larger section like this. Whether that happens or not in the future, we'll have to wait for another time. Of course, I gotta get a little celebratory dance in for build completed. Alright friends, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. Like I've said on prior videos, I can't thank you enough for all the love and support everyone gives me across all the socials. Hope this week has been good to you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care and stay safe.